Putin makes his move, the Baltics and Finland named as the shadow of Russia-NATO war rises. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Global Perspective News. A chilling signal has just been sent from the Kremlin, one powerful enough to shake all of Europe. President Vladimir Putin has taken another decisive step, pushing the confrontation beyond its familiar boundaries. This time, the names being called out lie directly at NATO's doorstep, Finland and the Baltic states. Tensions are rising rapidly as Moscow establishes a new, red line, backed by clear military responses. Strategic signals have been sent, placing Baltic airspace under extreme sensitivity. UAV flights in previously technical air corridors are now taking on deep strategic meaning. From Russia's perspective, any action that facilitates an attack is considered direct involvement. The nature of the war is shifting, rear areas are being pulled into the battlefield. The Kremlin has made one thing unmistakably clear. The gap between warning and action is now extremely short. The shadow of a Russia-NATO confrontation has never been more visible. A red line declared. The Kremlin has issued what it calls a red list. Putin has effectively signaled a full transition in Russia's security posture. Every message now carries a tone that is firm, direct, and uncompromising. From Moscow, warnings are being delivered with cold precision, forcing NATO's eastern flank to reconsider every move. This marks one of the clearest declarations of Russia's strategic boundaries since the conflict began. Security officials, including Sergei Shoigu, have explicitly named Northern European and Baltic nations, placing them under special scrutiny. The message is simple: any perceived threat will receive a proportional response. Opening airspace, providing technical support, or enabling UAV strikes against Russian territory is now defined as direct involvement. This redefinition changes everything. Countries that once stood in a gray zone are now pushed into high-risk territory. The red line is no longer symbolic, it is operational. Baltic states and Finland under the crosshairs. Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia are now openly identified as critical points on the regional security chessboard. Baltic airspace has become a new hotspot. Every movement is monitored and evaluated through a military lens. According to Moscow, if Ukrainian UAVs pass through these countries' airspace to strike Russian territory, it is considered active participation. Neutrality, in this context, no longer exists. Allowing airspace to be used for military purposes equals joining the chain of attack. Risks are escalating exponentially. Air defense systems in the region are now under serious scrutiny, both in capability and intent. From Moscow's viewpoint, allowing UAVs to penetrate deep into Russian territory has direct consequences for national security. Military response scenarios are already prepared. This marks a turning point. The Baltic region and Finland are no longer observers, they are now part of the equation. UAV warfare, the spark of a larger conflict. Swarm after swarm of UAVs has been striking deep into Russian territory with precision and intensity. Strategic hubs are shaken by repeated explosions. Fires erupt. Logistics chains are strained. This is no longer a rear line, it is an active battlefield. To Moscow, these are not isolated incidents, they are coordinated operations. Putin and Russian security officials are now asking NATO directly, how are UAVs repeatedly crossing Baltic airspace? There are only two possibilities: a failure of control, or deliberate permission. In Russia's interpretation, both are unacceptable. UAV warfare has become a new strategic tool, expanding the battlefield beyond borders. Distance no longer protects anyone. Rear and front lines have merged into one continuous battlefield. Article 51, Russia's legal shield. Russia has now formally invoked Article 51 of the UN Charter, the right to self-defense. This is a critical move. It provides a legal framework for military retaliation under international law. From the Kremlin's perspective, any attack on Russian territory justifies proportional response. This shifts the conflict to a new level. Limits are expanding. Targets and response scope are no longer restricted. Countries involved in supporting Ukraine now face increased risk. The Kremlin's message is clear. Russia is prepared, both militarily and legally. Germany pulled into the center. Germany is now under direct criticism from Moscow. Berlin is seen as a key supplier fueling Ukraine's war effort. Advanced systems like Patriot and Iris-T, along with large missile shipments, are significantly boosting Ukraine's capabilities. To the Kremlin, this is no longer indirect support, it is active involvement. German military technology is viewed as contributing directly to prolonging and intensifying the conflict. As weapons flow increases, the line between support and participation disappears. This pushes the conflict beyond a bilateral war, toward a broader confrontation between Russia and NATO. War beyond control. The pace of war has reached alarming levels. Thousands of ceasefire violations recorded in short periods. Hundreds of UAVs intercepted every night. Civilian casualties are rising rapidly. Russia's security apparatus now describes the situation as full-scale attrition warfare. Every statistic reflects growing pressure. Each side is escalating, faster, stronger, and more aggressively. Traditional conflict control mechanisms are breaking down. The battlefield is expanding. Sky, constant UAV warfare. Ground, continuous pressure. Rear areas, increasingly targeted. This is a war designed to exhaust the opponent. The hidden truth, a war expanding beyond control. Another layer of reality is now emerging. The narrative of perfect success is collapsing. Despite claims, Iran's capabilities remain intact. Missile stockpiles, UAV systems, operational capacity. Striking targets does not equal controlling the war. The United States now faces a difficult reality. Escalate right-pointing arrow deeper involvement. Withdraw right-pointing arrow political consequences. Meanwhile, global pressure builds. Allies hesitate. Costs rise. Strategic clarity fades. Global order fracturing. Energy prices surge. Oil jumps more than 20% in a short time. The Strait of Hormuz becomes the world's most dangerous choke point. Insurance companies withdraw right-pointing arrow shipping halts right-pointing arrow oil flow chokes. No blockade needed, risk alone paralyzes the system. Supply chains begin to strain. Petrochemicals, aviation fuel, semiconductor production. At the same time, Iran pushes for non-USD energy trade, threatening the petrodollar system. This is no longer just war. It is a challenge to global economic power. A dangerous turning point. The world is entering a new phase. Multi-layered conflict. Expanding battlefields. Economic warfare intertwined with military action. Negotiations stall. Rearmament accelerates. Tensions rise across regions. The message is clear. This is no longer a contained conflict. It is becoming a global confrontation with unpredictable consequences.